What is Epicureanism? What is the meaning of life? Is it achieving your career goals? Or is it marrying your soulmate? Well, if you ask this guy, Epicurus, he may tell you that eating 3 square meals of home-cooked food and making friends is enough for living a happy and meaningful life. But is that practical in today's hustle culture where success is measured by your bank balance and popularity means getting 10,000 likes on Instagram? Before we get into that, let's find out who Epicurus was and why we are even listening to him in the first place. Who is Epicurus? Epicurus was an ancient Greek philosopher who advocated for happiness and satisfaction through modest and sustainable means. He believed that by limiting our worldly desires, especially the unnecessary ones, we can attain a state of ataraxia, tranquility and freedom from fear, and aponia, the absence of bodily pain. As such, he's the founder of one of the 4 major philosophical schools of late antiquity. Though the concept of Epicureanism was originally created to challenge Platonism, it soon became an opponent of Stoicism. Today, only a handful of writings by Epicurus have survived, but his ideology lives on. And even though some of his ideas may sound impossible to follow, understanding the essence of Epicureanism is important to see its relevance in the modern era. How to practice Epicureanism. Number 1. Don't fear God. One of the biggest fears we burden ourselves with is the fear of God. But why is that? Isn't God nice? Then why would he or she harm or punish us? In defense, if you say God wants to protect us and prevent evil, then why do we have problems in our lives? Why do people cheat in relationships? Why does terrorism exist? Hence, the teachings of Epicurus, as summarized by another philosopher, David Hume, go along these lines. If God is unable to prevent evil, then he is not all-powerful. If God is not willing to prevent evil, then he is not all good. If God is both willing and able to prevent evil, then why does evil exist? Now, in case you're wondering, Epicurus is not promoting atheism here. He claims God is present, but he or she just doesn't care. His theologies view gods as ideal beings who are not concerned with us, mere humans. Since we are only a puny part of this expansive universe, a mistake like stealing the last slice of cake from the fridge will not piss the gods off. The fear of being punished by God is hence only an added source of superstition and anxiety, which drives us further from attaining happiness. Number 2. Don't fear death. One has to be crazy not to fear death, right? Well, not quite. According to Epicurus, our bodies are made up of atoms which, when we die, become one with the surrounding environment, aka the universe. Basically, we stop existing, and when we don't exist, we don't feel and perceive anything. So why fear any pain from death and any suffering in the afterlife? On that note, Epicurus also busted the theistic belief of the afterlife because, again, gods don't care. Death is the end, and it has no sense experience. So what's the point of fearing it? In his words, we have been born once, and there can be no second birth. For all eternity, we shall no longer be. But you, although you are not master of tomorrow, are postponing your happiness. We waste away our lives in delaying, and each of us dies without having enjoyed leisure. So, if you think you only live once is nothing but a cringy quote by a rebellious teenager, think again, because Epicurus essentially meant the same with the above quote. Number 3. Prioritize friendship over love. Yeah, we know that sounds impossible. After all, you wish to spend your entire life with that special someone. Friends simply come and go, right? Let's look at it this way. If your friend doesn't reply to your text for a few hours, do you get overly stressed about it? No, because they may be busy with homework or out running errands. But what if a similar situation happens with a lover? Now, we might not go crazy with jealousy and possessiveness, but we do feel a tinge of anxiety. That's what Epicurus claims, that excessive pleasure in romantic and sexual relationships is often followed by anxiety and stress. Plus, most of the time, one may not be in love, but be in love with the idea of love. Sounds like a quote from Tumblr? Well, Epicurus said something very similar while explaining how difficult it is to escape the snares of love once you've fallen into it. And in this love and desire, one often loses their sense of reality and begins idolizing their partner or relationship. Number 4. Consume enough but not excess. Unlike hedonism, Epicureanism does not promote excess pleasure, especially when it comes to unnatural, man-made desires like money, fame, and power. These vain desires are mostly insatiable since one will always want more, thereby leading to dissatisfaction and unhappiness. Moreover, these desires are often difficult to attain and maintain. For instance, imagine you are visiting a crowded place with a bag full of cash, say $1,000. Every now and then, you'll want to feel your pockets or wallet to check that the money is still there. You'll feel anxious and restless, not something you'd like to feel to achieve peak happiness now, right? Another example could be indulging in some sweet donuts from Krispy Kreme. Once the donuts are over, you'll either feel guilty for finishing the whole box or crave more. So there is no satisfaction whatsoever. Further, Epicureanism advocates against the ideas of consumerism, which encourages continuous consumption to satisfy unlimited wants. But at the end of the day, such desires will keep growing, and you'll be stuck in a vicious cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. Remember, unlimited wants are the root cause of suffering. Number 5. Stay cautious of politics and publicity. Generally speaking, politics is concerned with creating an ideal society. But again, with so many people out there, the definition of an ideal society is bound to vary. This creates conflict, and though solving it could result in better rules in the society, it could also act as an obstruction to ultimate peace and happiness. And that brings us to the final point. Number 6. Appreciate the smaller things in life. This point is pretty self-explanatory. Epicurus here suggests seeking a balance in life. If pain and pleasure are the two edges of a scale, you must find the middle to stay happy. Leaning on either of the sides too much will only cause, no-brainer here, pain or excess pleasure, the latter coming at the cost of your mental health or other forms of suffering. So you may pursue pleasure and avoid pain, but you must also tame your desires. The Epicurean philosophy of pleasure suggests that one can be happy and content simply by meeting their basic needs. For instance, the first bite of food when you're hungry, reading your favorite book, smelling the flowers in the garden, listening to the sounds of nature, these simple joys of life are already existing in the universe. Enjoying them will not cause any anxiety or discomfort later. In fact, these joys exist abundantly, and therefore, you can continue chasing them without any stress. So, even though Epicureanism describes pleasure as the chief good in life, one should live with contentment. It is the pleasure of the mind that Epicureanism seeks, and we assure you that our videos offer just that. So, subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment below to let us accompany you in your pursuit of happiness. You could even hit the bell button to get notified about new uploads. You wouldn't want to miss them.